From the grounds of Woodbury High School in Woodbury, New Jersey, Comcast Sports presents high school football. This afternoon, it's the first round of the South Jersey Group 1 playoffs as Woodbury hosts Pennsgrove. Hello again, everyone. Rob Christ along with my partner, Shawn Leary. It's a sunny afternoon. The rain has passed, but the conditions are not very good. Very muddy field today. That will certainly play into things. Shawn, both of these teams come into today with a bit of a break. Palmyra has lost in the first round of the playoffs to Haddon Heights. Palmyra was the #1 seed. These teams will face Haddon Heights. Haddon Heights already had lost to Woodbury, so a big break.
Well, you look at the winner of this game, you're going to get a home field advantage in the semifinals, playing against pretty good Haddon Heights team, but nonetheless playing in front of a home crowd with a chance to go to the final. I mean, that is these teams are really geeked up for that. Both of them talked about that, the opportunity to play in front of a home crowd next week, but they have to get the job done first.
For Pennsgrove, they are led by the Rutgers recruit in Aaron Hayward. He is arguably the top running back in all of South Jersey. The last time we had this team on Comcast, they were without Hayward. He certainly adds a dimension to this offense.
Well, ever since he was a young kid, he was a sprinter, ran track almost like Jimmy Owens of West Deptford, a guy who's known around these parts. And what Aaron Hayward has really become is a complete back. You know, before he was a guy who can really run fast. Now he's a guy who really sets up his blocks. He can do so many different things for you coming out of the backfield. And he uses not only his blocks well, but a great field vision. He'll be able to cut and really make people miss. The one problem he may have today is this field condition is pretty bad. I mean, you look out there, especially from the 35 to the 35, right in the middle of the field, pretty poor conditions. So cutting is going to be very difficult for Aaron Hayward. Woodbury needs to swarm to the football.
You talk about speed on the other side of the football for Woodbury. Shawn Kersey, one of the fastest young men in all of South Jersey, leads the way for the Thundering Herd. He too is headed on to Rutgers University. If Coach Giano and the rest of the crew didn't have a big game today, they would probably be on hand, but it'll be interesting to see how the weather conditions and the field conditions affect his speed.
Well, he's such a dynamic player, and he's a guy, once the ball gets into his hands, you almost get to your feet almost to see what he's going to do. Woodbury needs to maximize his touches today. Get him as many opportunities downfield. Now, in a slippery field, the running backs really have a hard time. But one of the other people that have a hard time is cornerbacks. You know, the wide receiver knows where they're going to go. The cornerbacks don't. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to be able to shake loose and try to throw the football up. I think Purnell may have a good day, and I think Woodbury's going to try to throw the football, get it into Kersey's hands any way possible, whether it be a reverse, some misdirection, try to get him long. But this is a guy you need to put the football into his hands.
The wind conditions will certainly play a factor as well. It is very windy this afternoon. As we mentioned, the field is very muddy. Keep an eye on both offensive lines. They will probably dictate as to who will come away with the victory today. Stick around. Two evenly matched teams, South Jersey Group 1 playoffs, right after this.
Clockkeeper is Mr. Bruce Dickinson.
Welcome back to Woodbury High School. Thundering Herd Stadium in Woodbury about to get underway. Woodbury won the toss and opted to defer. Before we get underway, let's talk about the officials. Your referee, Charlie Krowicki, umpire Pat Titus, linesman Ray Burrow, line judge John Foster, your back judge Bob Mount, and your clock operator Bruce Davidson. And again, we talked, Shawn, about some of the keys to today, the weather being one of them, but I want you to talk a little bit about Pennsgrove.
Well, Woodbury's a team that's known for the blitz. They'll come and send the linebackers, try to disrupt play in the backfield, and they've always had very quick linebacking play, and they really create a lot of turnovers off of that. Another thing they're going to have to do is force the pass. Aaron Hayward's going to run the football a lot, but what you want to do is put them in 3rd and long situations, force Pennsgrove to put the ball in the air and try to force turnovers that way, and of course play keep away with Shawn Kersey. When you're punting the football, try to keep the ball away from him. He is a game breaker. He can take a punt return and turn it into 6 points in such a hurry. Got to make sure you angle the ball to the sideline. For Woodbury, get Kersey the football. Plain and simple. Try to get him involved in the offense, close the gaps, and don't allow Aaron Hayward the big plays. And play a little field position today. It could be a low-scoring game with the field conditions.
Dribbler kicked right at Hayward inside his 15-yard line. Hayward cut down at about the 28-yard line, and that's where the Red Raiders will take over. Kemp Carr, their head coach of the Red Raiders, Zach Valentine, in charge of the Woodbury Thundering Herd. Always fun to talk to Zach Valentine before a game. certainly keeps his team loose, and in fact keeps us loose.
Keeps us loose as well. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He doesn't answer really any of our questions, but it sure is entertaining. See, I know now. Some coaches you just don't. I used to go to Bob Cleary for Glassboro, and I'd say, Coach, how do you win this game today? Oh, we score more points than the other team. I said, well, that's good enough for me. You had to loosen him up, and eventually Bob would give you some type of keys. But with Zach, he just kind of has fun, and you just have fun with him. And forget about really talking about football, because you don't get much of that from him.
Jay Brown, the quarterback, will hand off on the first play, a pickup of about 3 or 4. Ball carrier Corey Ransom, the junior, 5'7", 185.
And we're talking about that, we joke around. I mean, this guy who knows football, playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting his own Super Bowl ring at the time. You see the offensive line there: Jefferson, Tony Hayward, Angel Mendez, Sam Ridgway, a good one, and Kyle Hickman, the right tackle for the Devils. You see the backs: Darian Mills, Aaron Hayward, Deshaun Hayward, Darren Moore, and Dontre Garrett, the tight end.
Second down for the Red Devils. There you see the defensive line of Woodbury. Again, a pickup of about 2 or 3 for Hayward. We mentioned in the open, Shawn, this field will certainly slow down Hayward and this running attack. Rhodes, Bell, Jones, and White up front for the Herd. Bryant, Gibson, and Jenkins, your linebacking crew.
Gibson, a big one there, and he switched from nose guard.
Davis, Purnell, Kersey, and Blackwell, your cornerbacks and safeties.
You jumped into your job there, announcing the offensive starters.
Did a nice job. I was very impressed. Third down. We'll call it 4. Brown gives to Hayward. Hayward strings it outside, and he'll be very close to a first down. It looks like he has it. So Hayward, you could see, very tentative getting out of the backfield. Very muddy, and it's going to really be muddy in between the 30s.
You see the explosion by him to the outside, but where he'll have the problem is you see the little dance moves that he has. Those in the past have been very effective. It may be difficult today because, plain and simple, it's just muddy out there and won't be able to cut as much as he would like to, or at least have the efficiency when he tries to change direction.
The wind is in the face of Penns Grove, so they're playing into the wind, probably about a 10 to 12 mile per hour wind today. A handoff, and again, a nice little pickup for Deshaun Hayward. Hayward, we mentioned last time, he's just an absolute load. Just a freshman, 256 pounds.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you a little bit of Karan Gibson on the opposite side for Woodbury, who plays in the backfield. You can see him here, and he's going to pick up some tough yards, and expect him to get the ball a little bit more today. A big guy that's just going to go north and south on you, and Hayward with a nice run there.
Darren Mills with a tremendous job sealing off the defense of Woodbury, creating that extra push and 2 or 3 extra yards for Penns Grove. Second down and a very makeable 6. Hayward right up the gut. And again, another pickup of about 3. So, slow but steady has gone this Penns Grove offense thus far on their first 5 plays from scrimmage.
Well, important for Penns Grove, especially when you have the wind in your face and Woodbury defers to the second half. What they're going to do here is just try and gain some first downs and keep the football. And right here you see the block up front, but nice job by Blackwell coming down and closing that gap and being able to bring down Hayward to bring up, looks like about a 3rd and 4.
3rd down. Called a short 4, a long 3. I formation, both Haywards in the backfield. Everybody moved except the center, and that tells you something, Shawn.
It was probably his fault.
You said it, I did.
That was Angel Mendez. I'll even call him out.
Dead ball. False start on the offense.
Sometimes they say on the offense because they don't want to point out somebody. That was on the entire offense except the center.
Yeah, well, I always give, the thing is I can do that because I do give the linemen love sometimes. When they have a block or a nice play, I'll say some nice things.
Here you see head coach Zach Valentine. It's kind of interesting because the other offensive linemen, when they make a mistake, it's very obvious. They jump and you say, oh, it was that guy. And when the center makes a mistake, he forgets to count, then everybody else looks like they made a mistake.
Right.
Center looks like he's never guilty.
Right, well, that's true. Right? Maybe it was everyone else's fault. Maybe they all didn't hear the snap count. and they jumped too early.
Now this will change everything. They've been consistently running the ball, passing down now as it's 3rd down and a long 8. Again, both Haywards in the I formation. Mills offset the pitch. It's Aaron Hayward. Strung outside, and he's met immediately. Nice play made by Woodbury's Brian Purnell.
Yeah, Purnell being blocked on that edge, and he just does a nice job. Watch him step to his right here and contain. And it's real important to stay to the outside. He does a nice job just getting in the way. Maybe not the most graceful tackle in the world, but he does the job. You want to get him down? He does his job, and now Pensgrove forced to punt. And back deep will be the game breaker, Shawn Kersey. Shawn battling through some injuries this year as it hampered him in the middle of the season.
Chris Georges, your punter. This will likely be a short one as the wind seems to have kicked up. And there you see it, the wind just literally holding the football. It will bounce. It'll take a Pensgrove bounce and be down inside the 40-yard line. Excellent field position to start things.
You know, you look at the punt, it wasn't much, but the one thing it does, it keeps the ball away from Kersey.
Had a 25-yard punt for Georges, and Woodbury also will look to run the football. These are two teams that prefer to keep it on the ground. We saw that even in the passing down. Pensgrove went to their weapon in Hayward. Brian Purnell, your junior quarterback, 6'2", over 180 pounds, and of course he made that big defensive stop on 3rd down.
Yeah, important for Purnell to establish some confidence. They may try to put him in passing situations early.
Purnell rolls out. He's going to keep a lot of room here. Purnell across midfield, all the way inside of Pensgrove territory, down at the 33.
I don't know if we're going to get a look at this, but I think Karan Gibson is coming out, and try to see number 9. He forgets that his mouthpiece is in. He's trying to take it off his face mask as he's coming into the play. He gives up at this point, but he lays a block downfield. You see Gibson and Purnell with a nice call there by the Woodbury coaching staff.
The other thing, not only was he trying to find his mouthpiece, he was trying to find someone to block. Yeah. There is no one around. 1st and 10 at the 33 for Purnell. Gibson in the backfield. That's Kersey in motion, right up the gut. And Gibson, look at all the room. Still on his feet. Driving forward towards the end zone. Touchdown. Wow, that's just way too easy. Karan Gibson. 33-yard scamper for the big guy.
The reports are he had the mouthpiece in as well. Yeah, that carry. That's just the big fella going through the middle of the defense, making a couple of people miss in this muddy field. You expect to have the big fellas to get some carries. This time Gibson shedding some tackles and doing a nice job. A little bit of speed at the end of that play too.
So Woodbury on to attempt the extra point. The kick is low, and it hits the left upright.
The score in the first quarter, Woodbury 6, Pensgrove 0.
Coach Gibson here, nice job blocking up front to get a couple of guys on the left side of the line to pull. And they do a nice job of, I think that was Baldwin there, the right guard. And watch Gibson here just going to shake some tackles. Nice moves by the big guy, 250, 260 pounds. A couple of stiff arms. Couple of blocks downfield by some Woodbury receivers. He's in for 6. What a great start for the Thundering Herd. 2 plays, 2 successful plays running the football.
72-yard drive on 2 straight running plays.
Pensgrove having a team meeting now on the sideline. I can't think that Coach Kemp Carr is pretty animated over there.
62-yard drive, I believe.
But that was, the play before was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen any lineman or anybody trying to block downfield, is he was grabbing his face mask. It looked like almost like he was like battling a bee in there.
I was watching the same thing. It was so unusual. You didn't want to watch the runner. You're wondering what's going on out there. And then you saw the mouthpiece flying out.
That's funny. You watch football and you watch sports, and there's always something you've never seen before.
Right.
Which you think, like, I can't believe it. That was the strangest thing I've ever seen from anybody trying to block downfield.
Gibson will kick it away. It's having an eventful afternoon already. Gibson again, a squibber, hits a Red Devil and will be picked up and fumbled, but falling on at the 31-yard line. It's going to be a wet football, and you can see just by the Red Devils jerseys that they've only had a few plays, and all of them have some semblance of mud all over them.
What you saw right there is going to happen as this game goes on. You're going to see more of that. Trying to get your footing to even have a kickoff. I mean, you're really just driving the ball with that one step. It's almost like you could stand there and just try to get a kickoff, because any type of push you would get from taking a couple of steps is going to be negated from slipping. And you might even see a guy slip down. I mean, the referee, I think, on the first play, just going out to grab a football, fell down. So you're going to see a lot of that today. It is it is as bad as I've ever seen a field being that way.
First down and 10. Again, out of the eye. Handoff, and Hayward. Looked like after that touchdown, Hayward has a little bit more jump in his step. I think right now the Red Devils are a little bit shocked at how easily Woodbury was able to drive down the field. 2 plays, 2 running plays, and frankly, it looked like there was a magnetic force around him or something. There was no one even near the ball carry each time until well into the secondary.
Yeah, and Woodbury, you got to give them credit for being able to block downfield. But also, you're right. I expected Pensgrove to come out with a little bit more energy than they have, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Again, it's going to be Hayward. Hayward inside. And he'll pick up maybe 3 yards. So 6 carries and 12 yards for Hayward. And obviously, they're hoping for a lot more from their star running back.
See here, there is nothing in the middle of this defense. And this is where Woodbury's had problems this season. We saw Woodbury play against Paulsboro earlier in the year, and Gerald Hodges and company took advantage of that defensive line, who had probably its worst game of the year, if not its worst. And they seem to have fixed that problem somewhat over the last few games.
So 3rd down again for Pensgrove. Clock continues to move. 4:45 remaining in this first quarter. This time it's going to be Mills. Mills is hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he'll be lucky to get back to the line. So the defense of Woodbury holds once again. We mentioned before the offensive lines will play a key role right now. The D-line of Woodbury is beating them to the punch.
Yeah, they're just lining up here. They're going to try some misdirection. And again, it's hard to react if you're a linebacker. So what they want to do is get a linebacker going one way, and when they get stuck in that mud a little bit and they can't gain their footing, you're hoping that somebody will be able to slip by and get into the secondary. Gibson is going to the locker room right now, running to the locker room.
Georges to punt it away. Kersey is back. Georges. And it's blocked. A low punt is blocked. And Woodbury will take possession with excellent field position. And frankly, I'm not sure that's a block because of the onrush of the Woodbury defense. That was just a very low kick.
Yep. I mean, here's what we're talking about. Not being able to get your footing and not being able to set your foot. And you're going to slip a little bit maybe. And this is where the problem may be. That was just a poor kick. I don't think he slipped really.
No, it looked like he got it off the end of his toe.
Timeout, Pittsburgh.
Maybe the thought process right now, if you're a kicker, maybe getting into your head a little bit, not concentrating on good form. But he kicked that off the end of his toe, and that's something you normally don't see a punter do. Usually,
you know what I like right here? Kemp Carr is called timeout, and you say, well, what's so great about that? The clock's already stopped. Kemp Carr, kind of like a hockey coach, calls his team over and says, listen, you're letting a tremendous opportunity slip out of your hands right now. And he's going to regroup his team, and before it's too late, he's going to make sure that his team stays in this football game, because right now, they're really giving this game away.
Right, and sometimes when you talk about why would you call a timeout then, I think you're right. It's almost to regroup and say, listen, let's pay attention and focus on what we're doing here. get back into the football game. It's not so much he's over there screaming at people, just giving them encouragement. You see him tapping them on the heads and saying, don't worry about it, let's make some plays. This is a long game, early into the game here in the first quarter. Just don't lose your heads out there.
2 series for the Red Devils, 9 carries and 21 yards. They have yet to throw the football. So Purnell and the Woodbury offense back on the field with excellent field position once again. First down and 10 at the 12-yard line.
Gibson has a new mouthpiece, and he's in there.
And a collective sigh
JJ
from Woodbury as James Jones jumped off sides. We saw what that penalty had done to Pensgrove's first offensive series.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. Still first down.
You could hear that. I don't know if you could hear it, but we certainly could hear it here. The wind really howling down there. Almost going right now from left to right if you're viewing it on TV.
First and 15. The pitch. And a fumble. And it looks like Woodbury's come away with
loose.
it.
But Woodbury may have come up with the ball. Yes, they have. See the ball squirting around down there. It's difficult to jump on a football. It's just going to really kind of get off of your jersey and squirt out. See, maybe just peeked his head up a little bit to see what he was going to do. Really, I don't think the slippery factors had anything to do with that.
See, the ball's still loose right there.
It's going to pop
It's still
out.
loose. It's like a greased pig.
Never saw one of those, but
No?
nah.
Second down, Woodbury headed in the wrong direction. Second and 17.
Then again, you've lived so much longer than me. You've seen a lot.
Kersey strings it outside and finally knocked out at about the 9. So it looked like there was absolutely nothing there, and you see some of the dynamism of Kersey. Again, a little bit better field conditions down that end than in the middle.
Look how slow this play develops, and you think with Pensgrove's speed they'd be able to make a play. And just a couple guys missing tackles, poor angles, and of course his speed, those big long strides for Kersey, being able to pick up some positive yardage and get a third, probably what would you say about it? Third and 8, third and 9 possibly.
All on the 9 to get a first down is about the 2-yard line. Purnell has a man wide open, and it's dropped. Wide open, Artise Bryant likely would have had a touchdown. Didn't look until late, dropped the football, and that gave the defense an opportunity to rush on. See the O-line of the Herd: Bell, Baldwin, White, Gaines, and Jones. Jenkins, Gibson, Bryant, Kersey, and Davis. Your hands team. The D-line of the Red Devils: Garnett, Hayward, Hickman, and Jefferson. Linebacker crew: Mendez, Ridgway, and Mills. And there are the D-backs and safeties. Critical fourth down here for Woodbury, and again, a timeout called on the field. And I believe this is an official's timeout. So this would have been about a 27-yard field goal. We saw the extra point was not a thing of beauty, so Valentine opts to go for it. Purnell rolls to his right, has some room, throws it up, tipped up, and falls incomplete.
There's a late hit. You're going to get a first down for Woodbury. This is going to give Woodbury a first down, because it's going to be a personal foul.
Personal foul, roughing the passer.
He pointed toward Woodbury, but that's a big blow for Pensgrove, and I believe it might have been George's who hit Purnell late.
George is taken out of the football game.
Yeah, that's Williamstown, Washington Township played last night, and one of the reasons.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer on the defense. Automatic first down.
One of the reasons cited for the loss by Coach Frank Fusatola Williamstown was discipline. And right there, poor discipline for Pensgrove. You make a stop, you keep it within a touchdown now. Now Woodbury with a new set of downs. Great chance to make this a 2-score game early on.
Well, we'll remember that play. It could be the turning point of this football game. George is taken out of the football game. Gibson driving forward. Gibson still on his feet and finally cut down at about the 3-yard line.
That being said, I don't want to make it sound like George was trying to, just make a bonehead play. He's trying to play aggressively, but you got to be so focused in a game like this where every play is so magnified. You're trying to get on and move on. You're playing with 2 good teams, pretty much with the same type of talent on the field, and it may come down to mistakes, and you have to be able to minimize them as the game materializes.
2nd down and 3. Full house backfield for Purnell. The handoff off tackle, cut down shy of the end zone is Artis Bryant.
What a nice job of closing that down. Looks like Devin Mills was in on the play, but watch this. Looks like Bryant's going to have a shot for the end zone here. And a nice stick. That time by Darren Mills. The sophomore, 165 pounds, makes a heck of a tackle on the play.
3rd down and goal now. Again, probably 4-down territory. Although a field goal here would make it a 2-possession game, but I'm not sure Valentine has a lot of confidence in the kicking game.
Right. I wouldn't either at this point. Neither team's kicking.
Purnell keeps right behind center, touchdown. Kind of surprised at, again, how easy that was. Pensgrove simply did not pack the middle. Purnell took advantage of it.
Getting right behind center. Guards do their job. It's either James Jones coming from the outside, just trying to get a little bit more of a push to the tackle. Baldwin and company on that offensive line does the job. Matt White, senior, up front getting a good push.
Woodbury will go for 2. 2 receivers split right. In motion, it's Blackwell. Purnell rolls right with a lot of time across the middle, wide open. It's good. 2-point conversion. Eric Blackwell, the junior.
I think that's the right decision to go for 2. You saw with the kicking game, our last 3 kicks, you had the kickoff, the punt, the 2 punts, the extra point, really struggling in that department. So just go for it here and try to pick up the 2 points. The likelihood of making this might be actually better than a kick at this point. They're able to convert. You see Purnell, real poised too. I mean, it's a kid who came in last year in the playoffs against Gloucester and rallied that team to a victory. Woodbury eventually lost to Paulsboro in the semifinals, but as a sophomore, he came in with a lot of poise, and you can see out there now still that confidence, being able to get the job done. He's had that through the year. 8 plays for Woodbury, capped off by the touchdown. They have a 14-point lead. I think a little surprising too, Rob. I thought this game would be close, low scoring, and for Woodbury to jump out to a 14-0 lead. I didn't think Woodbury could win the game, but Pensgrove really not liking the situation they are in right now, but they have Aaron Hayward. And when you have Aaron Hayward on the field, he can make up that gap.
I don't sense any emotion from this Pensgrove team. It seems relatively uninspired at this point, and we'll see whether this is a wake-up call. They trailed 14-0 with 1:10 left in the first quarter, fighting for their postseason lives. Gibson, again, the dribbler picked up at the 30-yard line. All the way back to the 42-yard line. Return from Corey Ransom, and Pensgrove with good field position.
You got some real good senior leaders on this team. Darren Moore, Aaron Hayward, Angel Mendez, Kenny Jefferson. There's some guys down there that can get into the huddle and inspire a team down by 14 points to start playing better.
Brown and the Red Devil attack will take over at the 42-yard line out of the shotgun. And a fumble. Things are just not going right today for Pensgrove. Hayward falls on the football.
Second and 12.
See here, I don't think he ever got the snap. It looked like it didn't even come back to him, and Pensgrove fortunate enough to get onto the football with same possession. Kemp Carr calling the plays over there for Pensgrove. I'm surprised they're not trying to go double wide, try to get some more opening in the middle of the field, because they'll jam-packed up there and no room to run. Might see if that might be a better option as the game goes on.
Second and 12. And this one up the middle. Ransom, the ball carrier, picks up about 4 or 5 yards. And again, another long third down for the Red Devils. That'll be the last play of this first quarter, and the Red Devils will have an opportunity to have the wind to their back. In the first quarter, it's been all Woodbury. They lead by the score of 14-0. Stick around. We'll have the second quarter for you in just a moment.
That's the end of the first quarter of play. The score is Woodbury 14, Pensgrove 0.
Welcome back to Woodbury High School. Critical third down now for Pensgrove. Third down and 7. Pitch, Brown to string it out. Has some room and cut down from behind. A nice tackle. And Pensgrove forced to punt it again.
Woodbury doing a nice job on Jay Brown again, containing to the outside. Jay Brown, a sophomore, replacing John Coppage last year, who was a pretty good quarterback for Pensgrove. No room to the outside. That's not Jay Brown's fault. Woodbury doing a nice job of getting to the outside, and they match that speed with speed from the linebackers and the containment by the defensive ends.
So again, Georges will punt it away. This time he will have the wind to his back. Kersey awaiting the punt. High snap, Georges. And it's high, but it's very, very short. This will bounce and get a little bit of a roll, and we'll be down at the 41-yard line. So special teams have been a problem.
Well, they're one of the keys I said to the game was playing keep away, and they're assuring that. I mean, the punts are going maybe 10, 15 yards. Maybe you want to get a little bit more of a punch to the angle to the outside, but the field conditions, the wind playing a little bit of a factor. You can't look at these punters and say, well, blame it all on them. There's a lot going on in the kicking game. It's making it very difficult for these guys. You see Kemp Carr over there trying to inspire his defense.
First and 10 inside the 41-yard line of Woodbury. 10:59 left in this first half with the Thundering Herd on top by 14. Purnell, rocket screen, and it's dropped. Well, the only completion thus far has been on the 2-point conversion.
See here, Davis, and I think Purnell wasn't real happy with the effort coming back toward the football. You really want to come back at it and then charge upfield, make sure you get it in the hands, and I think Purnell had something there. Davis, uncharacteristically, wants to get a good angle. There you see Coach Valentine. And he talked about the offense, and we asked him if he would change his play calling due to the field conditions. He said no. So we're going to do the same thing that we came in with during the week.
Purnell, quarterback drawn. He's pounded. Loss of 5.
Good anticipation by the coaching staff of Pensgrove, thinking Purnell's going to drop back. They come with a bit of blitz, and it works to perfection.
13-15.
Looked like it was Angel Mendez, the senior, 205 pounds, 5'10".
See on third down, Pensgrove 1 for 4, Woodbury 1 for 2. Third down and 15.
Where you watch for the screen, watch for the deep ball to one Shawn Kersey as well.
Split right, Kersey and Davis. Purnell will roll to his right, throws it up for grabs, has Kersey, and led him a little bit too far out of bounds. Kersey tried to keep his feet in bounds, but was unable to hold on to the football. Woodbury forced a punt, but there is a penalty flag on the field. It will be a hold against the Thundering Herd. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they take this penalty. They're going to decline it, but where the flag was, that would have really...
Holding on the offense. Decline. 4th down.
That would have really given them great field position and backed them up even further. But they do want the football.
Then again, you're playing aggressive. Still in the next play, you know, you get a penalty, pass interference, roughing the pass, or something that can possibly give up a big play. You know you're going to get the football back. So that's the spot where I kind of agree with the coach to decline it there.
Purnell will punt it away. Brown and Hayward back for the Red Devils. Not much of a rush here, and Purnell gets away a good one. Hayward takes, and he fumbles the football. And it's Woodbury football. Again, another mistake made by Penns Grove. Hayward had an opportunity to take that out of the air. He did not. It bounced, then he tried to pick it up. A slick football ends up on the ground.
I mean, you understand why. That ball popped right up to him. However, you just let it go at this point. You know, the ball's right up in the air. He's thinking, oh, I got it. But you got somebody converging on you, and that's where you got to think. Not so much can I get the football, but I got a man right on me. As soon as I touch this football, I'm going to be touched. And now you're thinking, where do I go with the football? Because I got a man on. So the concentration just isn't there. And as a punt returner, you have to be able to pay attention to those type of scenarios, run them through your head before they happen. Doesn't happen there, and Woodbury now with the chance to really blow this open.
Gibson to carry, pick up 3 or 4 yards. Penns Grove continues to shoot itself in the foot between penalties and poor decision making and improper execution. Woodbury would love to score one more time
2nd and 7.
and put this game perhaps out of reach. Second down. Purnell again will give a lot of room for Gibson. Gibson inside the 10-yard line, still on his feet, stretches, touchdown! 25-yard run for the big guy. And Penns Grove must be stunned.
This could be Gibson's coming out party. He's playing a heck of a football game right now. And you got to really give a lot of credit. Although Karan Gibson's going to be the one who gets into the newspaper tomorrow with 2 touchdowns and maybe more with a ton of yards. Right now, the offensive line for Woodbury is doing a fabulous job of blocking up front. Great play calling for Woodbury. They're catching Penns Grove in some defensive calls that's really conducive for the offense. And you just, some luck is involved there, but also the blocking. Shawn Davis downfield blocking extremely well. You got to give credit a lot to that herd unit.
Kick is up, and the kick is good.
That's a blocking, by the way. Now, what Penn's going to do is they're going to play gaps, right? I mean, you get the one block on. Looked like that was Kenneth Jefferson, but there's no one to the left side. Everyone shifts over to the right. There's plenty of room for Gibson to run. Shawn Davis blocking downfield. The fleet-footed Karan Gibson at 260 pounds goes in to make this a 21-0 score. Unbelievable right now with 9:06 left. I don't think there's many so-called, call ourselves experts in the media, that would have believed this would have been a 21-point game with 9 minutes left here. 4 carries, 63 yards, a couple of touchdowns for the big fella. That's Gibson. He's just a sophomore. Last year as a freshman, Rob. He's a big guy.
Still a lot of time left in this football game. 9 minutes plus in the first half. you know, if you're Kemp Carr and the Red Devils, you have to take it series by series. You score a touchdown here and hold them, you have a chance to score another touchdown. It's a one possession game. Even if they can just hold Woodbury here in the first half and score once, then it's certainly reachable. But again, right now they're just having the play taken to them.
You're almost not even thinking about that right now. You're just thinking about what's the next play, how do we pick up the first down and move on from there. And you can't even allow yourself to think, all right, let's get a touchdown and see what happens. Let's get a first down. Let's get a couple plays that are going to work for us, because the offense is not done well.
Mills takes it, and he continues with the football. Tremendous second effort from Mills. You know, he's been the one bright spot for this Pennsgrove team. He has played well both offensively and defensively, and a good return to the 38-yard line.
And a guy like that, and a play like that, you know, just giving that second effort, that really gives your team a spark. You and I both noticed this. You see the offense there heavily in favor of Woodbury by 70 yards. We noticed that it looked like Pennsgrove didn't come out. Maybe they wanted to be focused and not play with too much emotion on the shoulder. Maybe you make mistakes being over aggressive, and we've seen that maybe a couple times. But it's just kids trying to make plays. George is on the personal foul route from the punter. He's just trying to make a play in the backfield. Hayward trying to make a play on special teams.
And again, a bad snap. And Brown giving Anthony Green the business.
And Brown is a quarterback. I know he's a sophomore and he's young. There's a way to go about it. And I think, you know, right now he's just too ticked at his
on the offense.
At his center.
Still first down.
Well, again, this could be a defining moment, Shawn, because as you mentioned, I'm sure they're frustrated, but are you going to allow that to have your team dissolve, or is this going to be an opportunity for you to change the course of things through adrenaline, use that frustration, that angst as a positive?
Well, when you go up and line up against somebody, you want aggression. When you're the quarterback, you want poise from your quarterback and not show your emotion where you're upset, because that really resonates through a team into the huddle.
Out of the shotgun, right into the belly of Brown. Brown throws it across the middle, picked off by Purnell. Purnell at the 35-yard line. Kemp Carr goes right out to talk to Brown. Brown obviously forcing the issue here. You talked about it before, poise. And Brown, you can see the frustration. He just wanted to make a play where none existed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a good four blue jerseys down the field. You have one guy going across the middle. And you know, I know that's what the play's called, but you can sense the frustration now with Pennsgrove, and it just seemed almost like a snowball effect right now.
A little surprised they threw the ball there, Shawn, and the reason being because, again, I think you go to your strength. And even if Pennsgrove can just score one touchdown before the first half, then it allows them an opportunity to regroup and be in this football game. And with the field and the conditions, anything can happen.
Right, and especially after you see your quarterback that frustrated, asking him now to go back and make a good decision with the football. We'll see here, no flag. Play Shawn Davis congratulates him, I guess, on the call.
8:48 left. It's been all Woodbury. 21-0. Pennsgrove with both turnovers in the football game, and frankly, some critical penalties. The pitch. And not a whole lot there for Artis Bryant.
Some good aggression from Pennsgrove on that play where they were able to come up and make a hit, try to punish ball carrier. Some future Woodbury stars, maybe. I don't know if they live in there. I think one of them may be Coach Mallahan's son.
All right, I was going to head up there, but if it's that bad,
Second down and 10. Split right, it's Davis and Blackwell. And another penalty.
Talked about Coach Malahan and Coach Butch Gale, who's on the Woodbury staff. Coach Gale actually teaches at Haddon Heights. And Coach Malahan used to be the head coach over at Haddon Heights. So they went to the game against Palmyra.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. Still second down.
And they had, they were pretty pleased. I know Coach Malahan said, I still had some kids who were freshmen when I was still there. And to see them win, it was exciting for him as well. I'm sure he won't feel the same way if Woodbury goes on to win this game. He doesn't want to see the success from the Haddon Heights Garnets. The Precious Stones.
Second down and 15. Purnell keeps, and he'll be dropped for a loss.
Actually, I think it's a semi-precious stone. Is a garnet.
I guess it depends who owns the stone. How precious it is to them.
Yeah, true.
If you gave it to your wife, you would hope that she would think it's a precious stone.
Yeah.
In fact, knowing you, Shawn, if you gave it to her, you would think it was a precious stone.
Yes, I would.
I spent good money on this thing, honey. This is precious.
And then she may look at it and say, well, semi-precious.
Third down and long. Purnell out of the shotgun with Gibson. Big rush. Purnell throws it up. Has Kersey, but he's picked off. Hayward cuts off Kersey at the pass. And Hayward cutting off his future teammate.
Talking about a precious stone, you got to have a precious football and really, handle it with care. And both quarterbacks right now in these two possessions not handling it with care, kind of throwing the ball up again. Is the Woodbury quarterback. I know you got a guy who can make plays downfield, but that's an easy pick.
Well, if you saw, he threw that off of his back foot. As a quarterback, you've got to make that throw, stand in there, and throw it off the front foot and know that you're going to get hit. He's trying to avoid the hit. Well, that, of course, is going to result in a poor throw, and in this instance, an interception. So Pensgrove at least dodges that bullet. Still enough time for them to put together a drive. First down and 10 for the Red Devils. Ball at the 25-yard line. Working out of the eye. Brown hands off. Hayward. Off tackle. Hayward. And there you see some of the explosiveness of Aaron Hayward.
Yeah, and I know we have probably one of our most negative games. We're talking a lot of negative things right now. And one of the things that the kids are dealing with down there is they're really dealing with field conditions that don't allow them to really think clearly. They're trying to gain their footing in some instances, and there he's trying to back up. He's trying to make a play. He's had a guy like Kersey who's made so many plays for him downfield, but you got to manage the football game. You're up by 21 points. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you get the ball over so easy.
Hayward now 7 carries for 20 yards. Brown again will give it to Hayward. Hayward into the secondary, driving forward, and he'll have the first down.
It's a good idea, I think, by Coach Kent. Plenty of time here with 5:56 left. You want to put the ball into your best player's hand, and that's Aaron Hayward for Pensgrove. They're trying to get something established at the line of scrimmage.
And that's what I talked about the last series. A little surprised to see him throw the football. When you're down, you go to your horse, and you try to allow him to take the team on his back and work its way out of it. And that's what they're doing here. 2 carries and a first down. Pensgrove starting to generate some offensive momentum. 5:50 remaining in this first half.
Now, they didn't get to this point by chucking the ball downfield. They've got to this point by handing the football off and spreading it around.
Hayward hitting the backfield, still on his feet. Spins off one tackle. And again, you see why Rutgers is so high on this young man.
Yeah, great effort this time by Hayward. You're going to see him spin here. He comes up a little gimpy, and that's what you fear during field conditions like this. See a little fake here, then you get Hayward. Watch him bounce, put that shoulder down. His strength is able to continue his progress up the field. And he gets a play. He's one more step from making that into a huge game.
Second down and short. Again out of the I formation, and Pensgrove successfully running the ball. Another first down. This time it was Ransom.
Woodbury tackle.
Pensgrove, you talked about it, maybe scoring this half and then going down by a couple of touchdowns and see what happens. Hey, all you got to do is think, listen, we're down by 3 scores. We score a touchdown a quarter. We're tying this game up if we're able to make our extra points.
Given the short yardage gains of Pensgrove, unless they pop a big play, probably only one drive to score for the Red Devils. Mills stopped by Gibson, but not before another pickup of about 3 or 4 yards.
I just really like this kid Mills, right? It's always a game where we see a kid come out and really impresses. Artis Bryant did that against Paulsboro in a losing effort. You see Mills here just running the ball hard, not afraid to get dirty, get in there and lower his shoulder and take on a carry. He's almost playing, and you can see him right now over on the sideline. I mean, he's just refusing to go down. He's willing himself an extra yard or two. You love that as a coach or anybody who follows football. You love to see that effort from a kid.
Red Devils better hurry. They've taken a lot of time, and they need to get this snap off quickly. Second down. Brown hands it off. Hayward cuts. Hayward into the secondary. Hayward again with another first down. And there is a penalty flag on the field.
It was Ridgeway there making the block on the outside. Doing a nice job of trying to seal that corner. No flag, so they're going to pick up a first down. And Pensgrove moved the football. Another with a chance to move the chains and plenty of time. 3:34 left.
Flags already waved off here today. 3:30 and counting. Pensgrove now at the 42-yard line of Woodbury. Hayward 10 carries for 36 yards.
Still like to see Pensgrove try to set up Hayward when he comes out of the backfield and put him in the open field.
Brown again keeps into the secondary. Brown cut down from behind. A nice pickup for Brown, about 8 yards.
Nice job by Brown. Watch what he doesn't try to go too wide here or go too deep. He's just going to get right behind the line, go straight down. Watch him here. As soon as he turns the field, is able to chance to turn it upfield, he does. Nice job of just angling himself in the position where he can get upfield in a hurry. Very important when you're playing against speedy linebackers. The quicker you can get to north and south, the better success, the better chance of success that you will have against a team like Woodbury.
2:40 and counting, ball at the 33-yard line. The Red Devils did use one timeout earlier. Brown will hand off to Hayward. Hayward finds a seam, and he'll be very close to a first down. I think he will have it.
That's all set up by Brown's run at quarterback. Nice job by him. You can see his jersey. Hey, there, the fake. Get the ball into Hayward's hand. He's going to set up the block. Earlier in his career, he would have tried to possibly try to get to the outside and use his speed. That time, he just puts it back up into the inside of the field and just picks up the yardage enough for a first.
Hayward into the secondary. Again, another big gain.
I've seen the footwork by him. That's just dancing at its best. Now Pensgrove going to call a timeout. Let's watch here if there's a false start for Pensgrove. Before the ball snapped, looked like maybe 41, or I don't know, that might have been Ridgeway on the right side. Yep, I don't know.
I think he just got a good fired off well. I think he was okay. So second timeout used by Pensgrove. 2:10 left. Ball at the 23-yard line, and at this point, Pensgrove will be battling the clock along with the Thundering Herd, and you can see by the jerseys over there, and it gives you some insight as to what the field conditions are. It may not look so bad on television.
Yeah, let's give some credit also to Coach Kemp Carr right now, being patient with the offense. We kind of questioned the play calling before and throwing with Jay Brown after he was frustrated with a bad snap. This drive, plenty of time. We're just going to run the football, move the chains, get the ball deep in Woodbury, and try to make some plays. Watch the footwork here by Hayward. Watch a little. Whoop. Well, I don't know if it's footwork or just slipping. Being able to regain some composure. Very talented running back. And you hear Pensgrove saying, hurry up and get into the huddle. Get the play called.
this has certainly been the most successful drive for the Red Devils, and it has certainly eaten up quite a bit of yardage. And time on the clock, 2:10 left. First half, second down and short. Handoff right up the middle, and again it's Hayward.
Right now, I go all day with that. Just going Hayward up the gut. Even maybe think about bringing Hayward back in towards the goal line. You saw how Woodbury's been successful. Good job by the offensive line. Talk about Mendez and Ridgeway.
1st and 10 for the Red Devils. Brown keeps. Brown finds a seam, and he's hit after about a 5-yard pickup. Remember that the clock does stop after a first down, so they set up quickly and ate up very little clock. We're down to 1:45.
Yeah, that's plenty of time.
Will talk to his quarterback as the clock continues to move. Down to about the 8-yard line. And again, still a lot of time here, 90 seconds remaining in this first half. Second down for Pensgrove. Brown will hand off right up the gut, and a very short pickup. So third down now at the 5-yard line.
Just trying to feed Aaron Hayward the football here. Snap got up into Brown. Nice job of recovering. Although Hayward doesn't pick up much, still a couple of extra yards where you bring up a 3rd and short. Obviously, 2-down territory here.
Brown keeps, gets a push from behind, and he's very close to the end zone. Touchdown!
You get an assist by Corey Ransom on that play. The junior getting behind his quarterback and giving him a helping hand, I would say.
The 2.
Red Devils.
And I think this is a good decision. Probably going to go for 2 here if you're Pensgrove. I just don't think the kicking game for either team is going to work very often. I think it's a low percentage play, so you try and go for 2.
Hayward and Mills in the backfield along with Corey Ransom, and now Brown calls timeout.
That's Ransom here, number 5. Come behind Brown if you're able to see it. Ransom just going to give him a push. And a nice job by Brown. Maybe knee might have been down before he got into the end zone. Let's take a look. See if his knee is touched down before he gets in. We don't have the camera angles like you would see some of the major networks watching football, but let's see if he's able to get in before his knee's down. Ransom coming behind. Brown going to shoot through. Nice job of just staying low. His knee's down there. And I don't think he was in. I think he might have been just short. But it's difficult to tell from that angle.
Well, you know, obviously the referees are shielded by the other tacklers. And, you know, I always wonder about that because when the ball is in the middle of the field, they don't necessarily spot it where the knee was, where the ball was. They typically give them the full extension. For some reason, the rules tend to change near the goal line. But nonetheless, Pensgrove, with a critical score, they will now go for 2, trailing 21-6. Same formation, Mills, Ransom, and Hayward. And it's going to be Hayward now right up the middle. And it's good. Misdirection had me fooled, and it's now 21-8.
I know you pick up 2 points for that play. You might want to put that one in your pocket. Try to use that in the second half, because there was nobody at home that time for Woodbury on that play. Really fooled the Thundering Herd, and you have 21-8 with 55 left. So it's terrific. 13-play drive. A little warning from the side judge here to keep everyone to the outside of the line for Woodbury. Creeping onto the field. See Pensgrove have to be pretty happy with that drive. With not only being able to put points on the board, Rob, but I think really the confidence of being able to run the football and wear down that Woodbury Woodbury defensive line. And that's where Woodbury has been suspect through the year. and Pensgrove being able to take advantage. Nice job by Coach Kemp Carr with staying with that type of philosophy there.
Number 7, Chris Georges.
Georges will kick it away.
They see Georges here. He's coming all the way as far as he possibly can, away from the middle of the field because it's just so slick in the center that he's going to kick it. He's got to realize that the ball's come off the tee.
Someone ought to tell him.
Can you trade that ball? Coming right in there. Right in there. Right in there.
Good. Yeah, your Valentine knows where the ball's going. Right through the middle.
Georges high and short. Woodbury will take. That's Blackwell. Blackwell around the end. Blackwell cut down at the 45-yard line with 47 seconds remaining for Purnell and the Woodbury offense. We'll see whether they keep the ball on the ground or opt to go to the air. They have the full complement of timeouts.
Here you see last night the playoffs with Haddon Heights knocking off Palmyra, the #1 seed, and really put it to them 33-9. You see the score here, 21-8. Glassboro blanking Gloucester 34-0. Kind of surprising, and that game wasn't a little bit closer. And then Pennsville taking on Paulsboro, televising here in this game, which is Saturday, so we're unaware of that score.
A lot of people are arguing that the true Group 1 championship is next week. Paulsboro and Glassboro. Of course, Paulsboro has to get through Pennsville, and I think both of these teams would like to argue with that.
They'd like to argue with it, but let's face the reality. You look at the two best teams in Group 1. It's Paulsboro and Glassboro. Paulsboro came to Woodbury and put a spanking on them earlier in the year without Kevin Johnson, but also without Shawn Kersey for Woodbury. Kevin Johnson, the quarterback for Paulsboro, who hasn't really skipped a beat by moving Gerald Hodges, the other recruit, one of the other recruits for going to Rutgers from this area. Gerald Hodges moving from running back to quarterback, where he quarterbacked the Red Raiders last year.
Purnell hands it off to Gibson. Gibson stringing it outside, and Gibson, the load cut down, but not before the half ends. And that'll do it for the first half of play here at Woodbury High School. First round, Group 1 South Jersey playoffs. We're through one half, and Woodbury leads 21-8. Welcome back to Woodbury High School. About to begin the second half. Let's take a look at our halftime stats. The score, Woodbury 21, Pensgrove 8. And rushing yards relatively even. Maybe the biggest story there is at the bottom, the turnovers and the penalties, Shawn.
Yeah, you can see there heavily in favor of Woodbury with the turnovers, especially points off the turnovers, and the mental mistakes for Pensgrove. Although the numbers seem very comparable, you look back at that first half and a couple of mistakes, the penalty that gave Woodbury a first down on a roughing the passer. It looked like Woodbury would turn the ball over. On fourth down, Woodbury eventually scores. You have the muffed punt by Aaron Hayward that turned into a touchdown for Woodbury. And then, although there was points off turnovers for Pensgrove, that was deep in their own territory. It was just a great drive. I wouldn't necessarily, although it says points off turnovers after the interception made by Hayward on Purnell in that second quarter. Really, it was just a 13-play drive. Here you see 14 carries, 61 yards for Hayward by the Devils to close out the half. And that may have inspired the Red Devils to play some better football here, and just know that they're in the football game, only down by 13 points.
I think this is going to be a critical first series for Woodbury as they will receive the football. Do not want to allow Pensgrove to generate momentum. A short pooch kick will be taken and down at the 32-yard line. So relatively good field position here for Woodbury as they start things. We mentioned before that yesterday Palmyra lost to Haddon Heights. Palmyra was ranked, or seeded, I should say, number 1 in Group 1. So the winner of this game will face Haddon Heights. And of course, on the other side of the bracket, a game we will have on Comcast, Glassboro will take on Paulsboro. And both of those teams undefeated, and arguably the 2 top teams in Group 1. First and 10 for Cornell. Gives to Gibson. Gibson leans forward with a gain of about 1 or 2.
You mentioned a critical series. I think it's more critical in the fact that Pensgrove can't allow Woodbury to go down and score points. And I think you're out of it there. Just trying to make up 3 touchdowns in a half of play. You know, if they're able to just get the football back and get themselves in a decent field position, Pensgrove could creep back into this game. Remember, down 2 scores, get a touchdown a quarter, and you're back into this game not only possibly having a chance to tie, but also to win.
Second down, Kersey in motion. Handoff right up the gut. Gibson still on his feet, driving forward, and he'll be shy of the first down. We'll bring up a third down and about 2.
See here, Gibson trying to tackle him up high just doesn't work for you. You're trying to grab him with one arm and go up high on him, and he's going to drag you for 3 or 4 extra yards. Big, powerful running back. Again, just a sophomore. Will have a career with pretty lofty numbers when all said and done here for the Thundering Herd under coach Zach Valentine, who likes to pound the football.
Not a great spot. Third down and 3. 3 receiver set for Woodbury. Again, it's Gibson, and he's met immediately. He throws it. And an interesting play with a lot of possibilities. And I'm assuming that is a designed play.
I can't believe that he got the football out and into the hands of Artis Bryan. I mean, watch him here. He is met, just gets his hands up and makes a crazy play. Now, I don't really like that. I mean, at this point, you're up by 2 touchdowns, and you have a possibility where he gets it there. If he flips that ball, it works out in their favor. But how about if he fumbles that ball? We're all over him, thinking it's a very risky play with 2 touchdowns, with a 2-touchdown lead, and you give Pensgrove good field position.
They will come out and measure. I believe they are shy of the first down. We'll take a look. It's about the length of a football, and decision time for Zach Valentine and the Thundering Herd.
The stick also that time. Looked like Kyle Hickman came up. Put all 285 pounds of him into Karan Gibson, who's probably around 250, 255.
Ryan Cornell in punt formation.
You see
Aaron Hayward.
Karan Gibson. Kid that isn't the loudest or most vocal kid on the team for Woodbury, but certainly the heart and soul of this program over the next couple of years.
Cornell in punt formation, and they change things. Widen it out. It looks like they're just going to try to draw somebody off sides. And they call timeout.
I love it. You waste the time out there. You're up by 2 scores. You're trying to just get a first down, 2 more of the clock, move the chains. It's very innovative thinking by the Woodbury coaching staff. And a flag does come out, and I believe they're going to call this with delay game.
I'd rather burn the 5 yards than the timeout. I'd call a timeout when they
Timeout
need
was
it.
called prior to the flag.
First of all, you can understand the conservative nature of not going for it on 4th down, but you know, one of the advantages you have in high school, you have your quarterback who's the punter. You can run him behind center and just kind of drive forward. Now let's take a look at our Group 2 playoffs. You see Haddonfield, who we had just seen, pounding Woodrow Wilson. They will take on Delsey. Buna will face West Deptford, which should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this. I think these I think this might be messed up. I think West Deptford's the #1 seed. I may be wrong also.
No, it is Delsey.
It is Delsey.
Yes.
Delsey's #1. Okay, I stand corrected. There you see Delsey getting the #1 seed, having the bye. West Deptford having the bye. That's very unusual. We haven't seen that since 2001, I believe. Or
is that right?
Yeah. I believe one of the Group 1 schools had a bye at that point.
Well,
so
it's
Group 2 will run through Delsey, but Delsey having a Haddonfield team next week. Haddonfield absolutely dismantled Woodrow Wilson.
Now Purnell will go underneath and he'll drive forward. And he stretches forward. I think he's going to have the first down if he gets that spot.
Gutsy call.
It's going to be very close. What you would have liked to see is that maybe happen the first time around before the Pensgrove coaching staff has an opportunity to talk to their defense. But let's take a look. It's going to be very, very close. You think he has it, you said?
Where the spot is, I think he does have it.
He's short.
Yeah, I told you. He didn't have it. You can see here Purnell going to stretch, and this could come back to haunt him. Yeah, remember the touchdown play? Had a similar type of play. They had a great success on that. A tremendous drive. I mean, look at some
Hayward
of
with a tremendous job, the freshman, and really blew up that play initially. Just found a seam, dodged the seam, and this could be a turning point now for the Red Devils.
Our own Mark Narducci on one of our local high school shows talked about Haddonfield and what they were capable of, and they were able to show Woodrow Wilson that they go into Delsey. That's a team that I wouldn't want to face at this point of the year.
And Hayward on his way. Hayward angling. Touchdown, Aaron Hayward.
Terrific play fake, and then Aaron Hayward, as his field may be drying out a little bit with the sun coming out.
The misdirection, I think everybody bid on Ransom, including this announcer. And then out of the clear came Hayward.
That was a great play fake. Both of us thought Ransom had the football. And Aaron Hayward sprinting to the end zone. How big was that play call on 4th down to go for it instead of moving back? Now, that being said, Aaron Hayward, I don't care if you're given that much space, he could be at his own 1, and he would turn that into a 99-yard score.
21-14, they will go for it, and it's Mills. Mills is in. It's now 21-16. And that's huge because a touchdown will put them ahead. And you can see Pensgrove's temperament has changed entirely.
Watch the play fake. Look at the Woodbury defense bite on the play. No one within 10 yards of Aaron Hayward as he scampers to the end zone. And again, he could have been at his own 1. So going for it on 4th down, you're going to get a penalty flag on the Pensgrove coaching staff for coming out and celebrate.
And Kemp Carr
Dead ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense.
So this will be marked off via the kick. Kemp Carr not pleased with the call, but I think it's the proper call. As a coaching staff, you cannot come out into the middle of the field and celebrate a touchdown and also clear your bench essentially. So although it may have an effect in terms of, what Pensgrove wants to do, you're taking a 15-yard penalty.
Right, he's just giving Woodbury an extra 15 yards to start. See Hayward over 100 yards now. Woodbury gambles. Going for it on 4th down inside their own territory. They don't make it. Pensgrove now has the momentum without doubt. And this is a team with a 13-play drive who scores before the half. They come out. Aaron Hayward scampers for a touchdown. And there is a rejuvenation on the sideline for Pensgrove. They're over there dancing, having a good time, still down by 5. But plenty of time in this game with 9:39 left here in the 3rd.
George's short kick, and Gibson falls on it at about the 48-yard line. So, given the nature of the kick, not a bad outcome for Pensgrove.
Now, remember, they would be at the 33, Rob. I'm sorry. They would be at the 33, now at the 48. I mean, that just gives them so much less field to work with to get back into the end zone.
Hayward had such a slow first half, but after that big run, he's now already over the century mark. 15 carries, 102 yards. We mentioned before that it was going to be a big series for Woodbury, and I had said it was critical for Woodbury. You said it was more critical for their defense. It looks like both of us were right, because they were unable to get a first down, and immediately they gave up a touchdown. First down and 10. Purnell throws into the flat. He leads his receiver, and that falls incomplete. Again, a little surprise there at the play call. Gibson has been so successful. Why not go back to your horse and generate some momentum?
Well, they're trying to catch Pensgrove off guard. They wanted to come out and pass a little bit into this game. And Purnell's missed on that play a couple of times, just not having the touch on that football. You could see, Rob, that Pensgrove, both you and I noticed, that didn't have the type of attitude. It's like almost they weren't up yet. They weren't awake yet. And now they have a swagger now that we haven't seen in the first half at all.
Handoff, stretching now, still going forward, and finally stopped after a pickup of about 7 yards. Good second effort by Tyler Jenkins.
You're right, it's a good second effort. Again, Woodbury trying to get the ball to the outside, find a hole. Jenkins is going to be able to slip one tackle here. Makes another one miss. Fights off his own man. Looks like Adrian Bell was even into the mix there and had to fight him off for 5 or 6 extra yards. Excuse me, about 4 yards.
So before he got to the 45-yard line, he was knocked out of bounds, so the pickup a little bit shorter. 3rd down, we'll call it 5. Out of the shotgun, Purnell has Gibson. Purnell will keep, strings it out, and now he's cut down. And once where there were big holes, there are none. The Pensgrove defense holds, and Woodbury will be forced to punt it away.
Trying to put the ball in Purnell's hands and pick up the first down here, but Pensgrove gets great penetration. Linebackers do an outstanding job of being able to close on the play, and no place at all for Purnell to go. Little surprise there again. Shawn Kersey, the name that we talked about in the beginning of the game, although Woodbury has had tremendous success, he has not been very involved.
Purnell, low snap, gets it away. Angles towards the sideline. This will roll inside the 15. So a good punt, and Kersey will down it.
Ball has been on the Pensgrove 13-yard line. 1st and 10, Red Devils.
Yeah, Colonial Conference, Rob. A lot of people have always talked about the Colonial Conference and not really having the teams up and down and competing. You look at Paulsboro and West Effort, and everyone says, well, they don't get tested throughout the year. But you look at the Colonial Conference, and it seems like this is a theme that we talk about a lot, is they have success once they get into the playoffs and the consolation games. You look at what Haddonfield did. You look at what Haddon Heights did. You see what this Woodbury team has done so far to start this game.
Mills, handoff inside, still driving forward. We talked about the impression that Mills has made thus far. And Purnell with the big play previously. Again, remember, that was a 33-yard punt down at the 14-yard line. So, cannot be understated how important that is. Other than that one big play from Hayward, Pensgrove has gotten their yardage in chunks. And you want to make this a long field for the Red Devils. 21-16, Woodbury on top. They led 21-0. 7 minutes remain in the third quarter. Second down. And again, it's Hayward. Hayward! No one's going to catch Aaron Hayward. And except Shawn Kersey. And he does.
Aaron Hayward's going to come over and give love to his future teammate. I think he's shocked that somebody was able to track him down. But how about the explosion right now from Aaron Hayward? And what they're doing is they're putting Woodbury back on their heels. They are first faking it to the up man and then allowing Hayward or anybody else, Mills, and the extra point attempts to come behind. And that little bit of misdirection is really freezing the linebackers. And there was so much room. And poor tackling downfield. Watch Kersey here. He's beat there. But he's not going to be beat in a foot race. And you can see, watch him come into your screen. This is a kid, too. Aaron Hayward was a national name on the track.
Handoff, Mills inside, Mills.
We're not talking South Jersey. I mean, he was a national name on the track, and you see what Kersey was able to do tracking him down.
Well, Corey Ransom was kind of celebrating. All he had to do, he didn't even have to block Kersey. He just gets in the way a little bit, and they have a touchdown.
It's because he's never seen that happen before. He usually celebrates, and there's no problem. My apologies to anybody in the Classic Division, but you just don't see a guy like number 4 with that type of speed and a big play. That could save a touchdown.
Second down on the 5. Hayward up the middle. Hayward bounces around and drives forward. Touchdown, Hayward. Pensgrove has taken the lead. 22-21.
They have a tempered celebration on their sideline as they don't want to draw the extra flag that they did after the last score. Here it is, 22-21. Pensgrove with the lead. Outstanding comeback for the Red Devils in this game. 17 carries, 178 yards, and a couple of touches for Aaron Hayward, number 9, the senior, going to Rutgers next fall.
I know it's still relatively early in the third quarter, but I can't remember a game where two halves could have been more different. Again, they will go for 2. Ransom driving forward. Ransom is stopped, and the conversion is no good.
Well, it's apparent what Pensgrove is doing. What they're doing is misdirection. Faking the handoff, faking another handoff, and going with that third option. And it's just allowing those blockers up front to create the holes and give more room.
Well, again, you can just see the affect of the Pensgrove players and coaching staff has changed 180 degrees.
Yeah, when they came out on the game, you and I both noticed it. It wasn't something that we're just making up in our heads. They didn't come out with any sense of
urgency, drive,
no one was
desire.
stopping each other. 5 will come. I mean, it was just kind of like, guys, we're here. This is what we're supposed to do. We're running the playoff tackle. Yeah, nice job. Now they seem like they're coming up, fired up. Somebody's making a play. Somebody's coming over to them. And it's almost like you start getting something like chemistry going inside of a game. So I believe this is the touchdown. Watch the bounce here. Boop, boop. And he goes into the end zone. Nice blocking down field by Ridgeway. And that group, I mean, this is a Pensgrove team with Mo on its side. And Woodbury needs to make a play. Now maybe try and hide number 4 back there and get the ball in his hands. But believe me, Pensgrove knows where that 4 jersey is. Shawn Davis back with Martise Bryant.
Again, a short pooch. Gibson takes and now yields to Kersey. Kersey, with a little bit of room, shakes one tackle and still on his feet. Nice return for Kersey, trying to give his Thundering Herd a little bit of life.
And that was perfect for Gibson at that point. I think that's what you need to do. Get the ball into Shawn Kersey's hands any way possible. And that's what you got to do coming out with his few offensive possessions that are left into this game, now trailing by a point. He needs to have the ball as much as possible for Woodbury at his position. You see him fired up now, trying to call on his teammates to make plays and reverse that momentum clearly in favor of the Red Devils. Remember, Pensgrove has had some playoff experience and success over the last couple of years under coach Kemp Carr.
1st and 10 for the Herd. Gibson. And although a nice pickup in that first half, that play seemingly would have traveled another 20 yards.
But it's a good gainer on 1st down. You pick up 4 to 5 yards. Gibson, you get him back involved with it. Maybe collapse that defense and at some point in time look for Kersey. But look at the blocking up front. That's what we saw from Woodbury in the first approximately 15, 16 minutes of this game.
This half, Pensgrove has owned the running game. It's a good tackle there by Ransom as he kind of torpedoed. They figured it out, Shawn. You cannot try to tackle Gibson above the waist.
You could try. The level of success that you'll have is probably not going to be too high.
2nd and 6. Pernell out of the shotgun with Gibson. Throws it up, and this is trouble. Oh! In and out of the hands of Hayward.
Floating the ball now. Purnell just going to try to get it up. You got Hayward closing in on the play, and
frankly, that was not a good throw as it floated, and had it been a good throw, it probably would have resulted in a Pensgrove touchdown. Once again, Purnell on that, as you see, he's 0 for 6 on the day, did not square the shoulders, throwing off the back foot, and Woodbury's getting away from what had been successful, and that was the run. Third down. Kersey and Davis split left. Gibson in the backfield, Purnell out of the shotgun. Kersey with the football. Kersey on his feet, he's cut down and he fumbles.
I'm not too sure that the ground didn't cause the fumble there.
And it's Pensgrove football. It looked to me that he was down on the play, fell on his back with the ball in his possession. Let's take a look at the replay.
Well, again, trying to get Kersey the football, but Pensgrove not going to be taking. When you see him come in motion, you know he's getting the football in this spot. Still, you want to put the ball in his hands as much as possible. Nice job of coming up, and the ball was out. That's a good call.
That was a good call. Again, it's been all Pensgrove in this second half, 4:49. They lead 22-21. Brown, hands off, Mills. Mills driving forward, close to the 1st down, about a yard shy.
Going back to the Woodbury offense, I like Mike Kersey on the run. I don't like him where he stops and then you get him the football, trying to get him in the get him the football in the air. I like Kersey when he's running down the field and he has the advantage with his height against Aaron Hayward and being able to make plays. And I think Woodbury needs to get back to that. That's something they did a couple of years ago when he was an underclassman as a freshman and sophomore, where he used to just go up and get the football.
Brown keeps. Brown hit, still on his feet, driving, and he'll have enough for the 1st down, I believe.
Adrian Bell comes up and finishes him off. But Woodbury getting the opportunities behind the line of scrimmage, you have to be able to make that play. I know it's a little slippery out there. And this is probably going to be another that one there. It's going to be 3rd down.
3rd and 1.
3rd down and inches. We talked a little bit about some of the other playoff happenings. Group 4, we saw Mainland earlier in the year. They really took it to Eastern. 42-14 was the final score. And Mainland certainly looks to be the class of South Jersey along with Shawn. Brown will have more than enough for the first down. Shawn also victorious yesterday.
Yeah, I think those are the two premier teams in Group 3 and Group 4 that whether they get tested may be in question. Some people like to think that Cherokee may give Mainland a game. That's certainly possible. We had a good game in the first round with the Williamstown and the Washington Township. The Minutemen come back for the win in that game, but they face a Mainland team. I think it's going to be very difficult for Washington Township to win that game.
Fumble, ball's loose, and I believe Pensgrove has it. No gain and no loss. 2nd down and 10.
2nd and 10, Pensgrove.
Southern defeated Toms River North in Group 4, and Cherokee defeated Egg Harbor Township. So Washington Township will travel to Mainland, and Cherokee will host Southern for your Group 4 semifinals. And set up a possible Mainland Cherokee game, which would be a good one. 2nd down and 10. Again, it's Mills. Mills right up the middle. Mills driving forward, and he'll be just shy. And now that offensive line of Pensgrove getting a good push.
Woodbury tackle.
Yeah, Woodbury just doesn't have an answer for that second and third man coming through the offensive line with the ball. I mean, it's really eating them up, and it's giving Pensgrove a little bit more time to work Woodbury off the football. It's putting the linebackers on their heels a little bit, and Pensgrove giving themselves with 3rd and shorts over and over again. 3rd and short yardage situations.
Working out of the eye, Ransom and Mills. Brown will keep. Brown will have enough for the first down.
Woodbury tackle James Jones.
But what Woodbury's doing right now on this drive is they're tackling the ball carrier. They're not allowing them to slip too many times out of the first initial hit. And that forces Pensgrove to have to make another play over and over again. The chances that you give a team to make a play with a slippery football, the more chances they're going to have a chance to shoot themselves in the foot, either by penalty or by turnover. So Woodbury just needs to dig in there and continuously hitting the ball carrier and bringing them down immediately.
Fumble again. Ball's loose. I believe Woodbury has it. They do.
Here it is. I mean, long drives are going to be difficult, or have been difficult, although Pensgrove put a pretty good one together before the half, just because there's so many ways you can hurt yourself here with either a turnover or a penalty, and that comes to fruition here for Woodbury. They get the football back.
James Jones on the recovery. And this has been a game filled with big plays. That could be another one. 50 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter. Woodbury trying to jumpstart this offense, which has done relatively nothing in the 2nd half.
See, now, with this, I would somehow try to get Kersey on the move here. Maybe go up top. Allow him to try and make a play on the outside. He has one-on-one coverage with Aaron Hayward, although Darren Moore is keeping an eye out on him.
Purnell throws, has his man, and it will be a short pickup as he finds Deshaun Davis.
Number 8, Deshaun Davis.
So just trying to get Deshaun Davis out there with a couple blockers in front of him. He's going to do a nice job of splitting the tacklers here and picking up some good yardage. It looked like about 4 or 5 where it could have been stopped for no gain.
Again, a better throw may have resulted in a couple more yards. Davis having to elevate to pull that down. it is a slick football, so Purnell operating in tough field conditions. The handoff will be just shy of the first down.
This is kind of what we expected, Rob. A close game going into the fourth quarter. It didn't look that way to start.
That'll do it for 3 quarters of play. While Pensgrove has certainly changed their fortunes, we head to break through 3. Pensgrove on top by 1. Welcome back to Woodbury. We start the fourth quarter. The handoff, Gibson with no room to operate, and that was blown up. He is nowhere near the first down.
Now, there was just too much confusion in the backfield. It almost looked like there was a false start by Woodbury. Now they're going to be forced to punt. And that play just didn't work from the snap.
That was a critical play. And again, Woodbury's offense has gone south in a hurry.
That's where they have to play field position. They need a good punt here with very little return. That means not trying to get the ball right at. Yeah, they're not going to get either.
That goes off the side of the foot of Purnell, and not a good punt.
Not going to get the return on that, certainly. That play went nowhere, and this play went nowhere. I mean, this is a spot where he tries to get some room, and Pensgrove, excellent penetration. And now starting on the Woodbury side of the field.
You know, remember we talked about Pensgrove just seemingly having a little fire to start that first half? That almost looks like Woodbury right now. I think they're in a state of shock. You saw on that carry, no one was firing off the football.
Pensgrove was.
Exactly.
Not Woodbury, but you're right. There's little motion coming off that Woodbury sideline. You need a play, a stick, somebody to get hit. Thought you had that returner.
Hayward right up the middle. Hayward still on his feet, and Kersey brings him down.
They play different positions with Kersey and his ability at wide receiver. But what Pensgrove's done is really just put the ball in the best player's hand, and he has carried this team along with the players up front who are blocking for him. He's made some big gainers, especially in this second half. Some big plays by Aaron Hayward here, the number 5 seed Red Devils coming in trying to upset the Thundering Herd.
1st and 10. Mills inside. I'll pick up a short gain. You made a great point earlier when we started the second half. When you saw the footwork of Hayward, you said, you know, it looks like the field has dried out a little bit. I would agree. From here, it looks like the field has dried considerably. The sun has taken out a lot of the moisture, and I guess seemingly the players' uniforms as well. But more importantly, it's allowed Hayward to really utilize that speed.
And what they've done is they've done a nice job of going to what works. Not only Hayward, but going with that the misdirection a little bit and putting Woodbury back. They have not responded.
Handoff, cut down, and still on his feet is Hayward. It looked like his knee was just shy of touching that ground and still able to pick up a couple.
Well, you're looking for somebody to make a play, and here's Artise Bryan. Now watch him, number 15. Just come and disrupt. And that's all you want to do as a defensive end. Sure, you'd love to make the tackle behind the scrimmage, but what you do is you allow your linebackers and your linemen to react off the play. They do a good job there, just forcing getting a couple of yards there from Pensgrove. Now you have a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 situation.
Obviously 4-down territory here for the Red Devils. Critical 3rd down. 9:28 left. Inside handoff, driving forward. Hayward still driving, spinning. Hayward cutting it to the corner and cut down inside the 5-yard line. Tremendous individual effort by Aaron Hayward.
I guess it's just strength, lower body strength, being able to keep the legs moving here. Watch, he's bottled up. Everyone's hitting with the shoulder. Look, see the shoulders? There's no arms right there, even from Kersey. You got to be able to wrap up. You can't tackle somebody with Hayward's ability with your back. You have to be able to come in and wrap up on the play. Woodbury's done a poor job of tackling. That's what's hurt them this year, and it's hurting them right now. They had a 21 8-0 lead in this game. They've let it slip away.
And the handoff. A short gain.
Almost a late hit there by Shawn Davis on Mills. It's not going to affect Mills too much. He's really come out and put the hits on. Look at the surge.
That's a penalty.
By the Pensgrove offensive line. Getting the job done. Remember, this being a one-point game. If Pensgrove does punch it in here, that 2-point conversion is going to be very important.
Second down and goal. Brown keeps. Brown pushes. Brown. Touchdown. Get down Jay Brown, as the coaching staff likes to call him, in for another touchdown. 8:15 left, and as you mentioned, Shawn, a critical 2-point conversion here. It's going to be the difference between a 1 or 2 possession game.
Pensgrove has had that formation where they've used Darren Mills a couple of times in this scenario to punch it in. Will they go back to that, or will they put the ball in their playmaker's hands, Aaron Hayward? I think they're going to give it to Hayward. In fact, they're going to put Mills in motion.
Brown, hands off, Ransom on his feet, Ransom cut down. Big stop by the Herd, 28-21. And Shawn, you don't like that call.
No, I would have put it in Hayward's hand. Maybe look at here, again, Ransom doing a good job coming back from that fullback spot. You see Mills come in on the play, go back after Artis, two guys who I think they kind of resemble themselves as being guys who come out not afraid to get into the mix. But that's a critical stop for Woodbury. Now only down by 7. They're able to engineer some type of scoring drive, and then you got a chance to even win it yourself with a 2-point conversion. Watch here, man. I mean, you have Hayward in the backfield. You give it to Ransom here, and Hayward, although he has a little bit of a push, I think you put it in your best player's hands. I think outthinking yourself there was Pensgrove in what could be a big play in this game when you look back at it. There you see Coach Valentine now have to come up with a drive of its own. They haven't scored since the second quarter. 28-21 right now. 8:15, plenty of time left on the clock. Now I think Kemp Carr has got to remind his guys, let's not even put it in the position where you get it toward the big guy, number 4, Shawnee Kersey. I believe that they're going to try to kick it across the field. Maybe get it to the side where Eric Blackwell is, Tyler Jenkins, and Artis Bryant.
Georges teeing it up, ready to send it away. His kicks have been relatively short pooches. Gibson has found himself in the middle of it quite a few times. Again, a little roller. And this will be falling on at the 31 or 32-yard line.
That's the details of the game by Coach Kemp Carr, not allowing any opportunity for a return. You saw manhandle Eastern last night, 42-14 in the first-round game. Great game with Washington Township. Coming back, they were down, I believe, with 5 minutes left to play by 24-14. Come back and beat Williamstown. They travel to mainland. Southern, as rather mentioned, going up against Cherokee, who beat Egg Harbor 34-18. A little bit of a surprise there, I guess, with Southern knocking off the 3 seed, but remember it's Group 4.
Purnell pitches. Some room to operate for Blackwell, and he'll be very close to a first down. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, Shawn, but should Woodbury score on this drive, then it's a decision as to go for the tie or the win. I kind of feel like you go for the win because your field goal kicking and extra point kicking has been a little bit dicey, but obviously there's still a lot of football to play.
Right, the field conditions have have improved a little bit, and I guess that decision will be made depending on what happens if you're even able to punch it in the end zone and how well you have the momentum at that point.
Purnell out of the shotgun with Gibson. Purnell throws. Kersey beats Hayward. No, Hayward, one hand, trips up Kersey. And it has been a great battle between those two players.
Yeah, you've seen both of them make a couple of plays on one another. Right now, Aaron Hayward, as he gets most of the touches, you have to give him the advantage. Kersey was able to track him down and prevent a touchdown earlier, but Kersey is not. Again, I just like to see him on the move more, trying to get the ball downfield. He made so many plays as a freshman and sophomore, but you have to wonder if Purnell is able to get the ball into that spot for him. Is he able to be able to throw it up and allow the big guy to go get it?
Second down, the pitch, little razzle dazzle, and Bryant's gonna throw it. It's up, in and out of his hands, and a pass interference call.
Not a good one. Bryant turns back for the football, and Darren Moore did not turn his head and got probably some contact before the ball comes down. Let's see here. They're gonna try and get Artise Bryant, get the ball downfield, go away from Shawnee Kersey, and give Davis the opportunity to come down with it, but good call. 15 yards, first down.
Again, in the pro game, it's a spot foul. In high school and in college, it is a 15-yard penalty.
We have defensive pass interference. Automatic first down.
And I like to see that called a spot foul myself, because if you're able to beat the defender, you're giving the defender the option of saying, okay, I'm just going to give up 15 yards. I've already been beaten, and I'm going to just give up the 15-yard penalty. It almost gives the advantage back to the defense after you have a receiver who did the work to get downfield and make a play.
First and 10. Gibson in motion. The pitch. Here's Kersey. Kersey stringing it outside. Kersey around the corner. Tight roping. All the way down. No. He's out of bounds. He is out of bounds.
I don't know if we're going to be able to get the right angle on this to see that. Woodbury did not believe he stepped out of bounds. It was a terrific effort to try and stay in, but here you go. You get it into number 4's hands. Allow Kersey to work the corner. He's got good field vision. He knows how to make people. Look at them long strides by him. Does he step out here? I'm not too sure.
Our man Bido right on the scene. Great shot. It looks like that last foot before the turn may have just encroached upon the chalk. I don't know if we can see that again.
Let's see here now. Look for that. I believe it's the right foot. Right as he gets to the sideline. Right there, he's
right there.
That's actually the left foot, and it might be out. You can see the.
That's great work by our director Stan Ritter and our crew. Tremendous,
kind of hard to see, but still, it looks like it might have been a good call.
Great job from our production team to give you that look. And a big pickup for Kersey, which could have been even bigger. Game of inches, as they say. First down and 10 for the Herd.
What might be able to work for you if you had it right now is use this as they're using this pitch, come to your advantage, and see if Pensacola is going to overplay. Maybe you pitch it to Bryant and have Kersey coming to the opposite side on a reverse. Very difficult to turn your direction if you're a defender. Something maybe they might look into later in the game.
Purnell throws it up for grabs, has a man, and it's in and out of his hands. It's Kersey.
I like the play call, though. Darren Moore, great defense on the play, but you have to like your chances when you're going to put the ball up and allow Kersey to go get it. You go for 6. You have a little bit of momentum. Nice ball thrown.
That was the best.
Time. But, I mean, this was a play well defended by Darren Moore. Give him some credit.
Best throw of the day from Purnell. Second and 10.
almost you want him to put a little more air under that because Kersey can outleap any defender out there for Pennsville.
Trips left, and now they change things. Davis will come over on the right side. Shawnee Kersey split wide left. Purnell throws it, has Kersey, it's tipped, and it's over his head. And now all of a sudden, their momentum is stalling.
Here you see good pass rush on the play by Pensgrove and forcing Purnell to throw the ball a little high. I mean, this is one of his worst days throwing the football. Obviously, the weather and the conditions, the ground being so wet, the football being so wet may have something to do with that.
3rd and 10. Purnell Jr. with Gibson in the backfield.
Remember, it's definitely 4-down territory for him.
Purnell with time, throws it, has his man, but he overthrows his receiver, Shawn Davis. And it looked like they were not on the same page there.
Well, he's just not on the mark whatsoever. He's throwing the ball too high or throwing it too short. Just really having a problem here. And you see him trying to look for Davis over the middle of the field. The ball's floated here. A little too much air underneath of it. He was trying to come over the middle of the field.
Looked like he was expecting Davis to just let it go, and instead he ran to the post. So 4th and 10, and again, we go back to that run from Kersey where he just stepped out by an inch or two. Otherwise, we'd be talking about the 2-point conversion attempt.
Right. Almost, and again, on that 3rd down, I almost would have liked to see maybe that possible reverse, trying to use that Pensgrove aggression against him. You see Shawnee there with a 42-18 victory over Timber Creek to play the winner of Triton Brick Township. Lacey taking out Ocean City. That game was in overtime. And Hamilton handling Cumberland, although Cumberland has some pretty good players offensively. You can see the defense not holding up against Hamilton. No surprise, I guess. You see Hamilton, Shawnee in a collision course with each other, possibly. You have Mainland and Cherokee on a collision course with each other. Group 2, you have to say you like the chances of 1 and 2 there, although Buna has played pretty well. Well, they did not win the game. They do have some playoff experience and playing pretty well in a game against West Effort a couple of years ago. It comes down to the final play of the game. So some interesting matchups coming up in this 2nd round.
4th down and 10. Purnell out of the shotgun. Pensgrove. Not much pressure, throws it underneath, and that's nowhere near the receiver. That's a case where you might as well throw it into double coverage because if they pick it off, it works as a punt.
Yeah, again, he slips back a little bit, and I think he's just really having a hard time being able to get his footing and able to release. I mean,
that receiver was open. You could see it there.
Yeah, he's just not getting the football there. And it has to be Purnell's been a pretty accurate passer. And we saw him in a playoff game against Gloucester. And what we've seen in the young man, he's a fierce competitor, but also a pretty good passer. He's just not getting his feet underneath of him. And it's really hampered him in being able to throw the football.
Well, this is, again, a critical series for this Woodbury defense. Pensgrove on top by 7 with 6:30 remaining in the 4th quarter. Handoff, Hayward, and he's stopped immediately.
That's a big play for the Woodbury defense to make the initial stop on 1st down and make a 2nd and short. 6:19 remaining in counting. Winner of this game will host Haddon Heights next week in the 2nd round of the playoffs. How about this looking sky is come over top of the field here at Woodbury High School.
28-21, 5:50 left, 2nd down and 8. Handoff, Mills stopped, still driving, Mills. Nice little pickup. That'll bring down, that'll be about a 4 or 5 yard gain. 3rd down and about 5.
And in seeing how Purnell has struggled throwing the football, this is a big 3rd down, Rob, because you want some time left on the clock to be able to get down to the field if you're the Woodbury sideline. So you want to stop here. 5:15 and counting. You want to be able to still run the football. You had some success in the last possession. You see,
that's a great
6
stat
of
right
9 for Pensgrove.
That tells the entire story.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, our crack stats person today, Mark Narducci, one of our broadcast partners. Brown. Brown stretches, and I believe he has it.
What a big run by Brown. Going back into the teeth of the defense, keeping the legs moving. The little guy's able to pick up the 1st down, move the chains, and keep the clock rolling. That's a big one. Again, just if you're able to make a stop there, you're going to get the ball back in plenty of time where you can do different things offensively. Now, if you stop the clock and get the ball back with 2 minutes to play, you have to force, you're going to be forcing Purnell to make plays with his arm. And that has not been where Woodbury's been successful today. That's if you make the stop here on this possession, on this set of downs.
Handoff inside, and again, not much room to operate for Hayward. You sense the urgency of this Woodbury defense. Had they shown this level of energy earlier in the second half, then perhaps they wouldn't be looking at a deficit.
Remember the timeout that Woodbury took on that 4th down instead of getting the, I mean, that was a list of problems for them. They call timeout, they waste the timeout, and then they go in and try to go for it on 4th down on the first possession. Pensgrove makes the stop, and Hayward goes in for the 2nd touchdown of the game for Pensgrove.
2nd down, again, it's going to be Mills. This time, Mills has very little room to operate, so a critical 3rd down. They essentially went to the same sequence as the last series. First Hayward, then Mills. Of course, on 3rd down, Brown kept it, but this is much longer. We'll see if they go to Hayward. I would imagine they would not go to the air. That would be a mistake, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's almost an impossibility that Coach Cam Carr will do that. If anything, he's looking at that clock and he'll say, you know, I'll force Woodbury to use its last timeout so they don't have anything if they do get the ball back. Keep the ball on the ground, and that's where you've had success throughout the year anyway.
3rd down. Brown hands off. Hayward dances. Hayward still on his feet. Fumble! The ball is loose. And I believe Pensgrove has it.
Now you call timeout if you're Woodbury. The last one that they have, I believe. They can stop the clock here with 2:44, not doing anything. So a nice move by Hayward. It's coming up and tackling the football. Looked like that was Gibson. Oh, it just goes through his hands. You see him there. Not being able to pounce on the football. And see, Woodbury's not calling timeout.
That's a big mistake because they spotted this ball about 15 seconds after the play ended. So that's 15 seconds lost, and now they're going to be able to run it down to about 2 minutes. So it's almost an entire minute that has elapsed.
Pensgrove's just going to take this down and get delay a game, or call timeout, excuse me.
Pensgrove, their 2nd timeout.
A decision by Kemp Carr, being able to call timeout. 2:06 left.
Now don't forget, we've already had a block punt here. George's had a very low punt. The trajectory was no more than 6 feet in the air.
And with a slippery ball, it's hard to snap the ball. I would send everybody but of course, Shawnee Kersey.
I'm not sure I wouldn't send Kersey as well, because typically his punts have been so short.
I would always give Kersey the opportunity to make plays with his feet, and that I would just keep him there. Although the guy could leap too, so you always have a chance of him blocking a punt as well. But I would send all 10 to put pressure on George's. You might have a fumbled snap, you're able to pick it up, run it back, but I would certainly do that. I would put all those guys up and say, listen, go for the football. However, make sure you're in control. If you're not there, do not run into the kicker.
Hayward on the day, 23 carries, 231 yards, and the lion's share of that coming in this second half. Kersey back to receive the punt of Hayward. He is at his 23-yard line. Good snap. Georges angles towards the sideline, and this will go out of bounds at about the 23. Well, that was the best sequence of the day for the Red Devils. 1 minute and 59 seconds remaining. And Woodbury down to their last opportunity to try and resuscitate their offense.
And Purnell has to just forget about what's happened up until this point and just start focusing on his footwork and being able to get the football out. Give his receivers an opportunity. Right now, the Woodbury coaching staff talking about what type of plays they want to run. They want a play that's going to be 80 or 76 yards.
1st and 10. Purnell getting the rush. Eludes one tackler, still on his feet. Purnell throws it deep, has a man wide open, and it is picked off. Picked off. Well,
Looking for
he had
Blackwell,
Eric
yep.
Blackwell, and it was a little bit underthrown.
And then Blackwell's trips on the play. I don't know if you're able to see it here, but not being able to elude the sack. Nice blocking for Woodbury, buying some time. Doesn't go short, he elects to go long, floats it up there. And you can see here, watch Blackwell just slip on the turf, and an outstanding effort that time by Sam Ridgway, the junior. The linebacker coming back, showing the big guy has hands. Nice play. You have one timeout now remaining, I believe, for Woodbury. Pensgrove can basically run this clock down.
1st and 10, Devils.
What an effort by Ridgway.
3rd turnover of the afternoon. Once again proves costly for Woodbury. Each team has turned the ball over 3 times. And we've seen before it is a slick football, so Woodbury would be well advised to try to tackle the football.
You know what is crazy is I would just take a nick.
So
I wouldn't even think of giving it with the opportunity to knock that slick football out. Whether you punt the ball away again, I wouldn't even give them the opportunity to strip a ball.
I agree. Or at the very least, not even have an exchange. If you want to run it, keep it in the quarterback's hands.
And say go down almost immediately. I wouldn't even put him in a position where you get into the defensive line for Woodbury where they can poke the football out. I just don't have the confidence in Woodbury's offense to move the ball downfield, even if they were able to get the football out in that short period of time.
Again, the winner of this game will face Haddon Heights. And we do know that Woodbury defeated Haddon Heights at Haddon Heights earlier in the year, 20-12. That came back on September the 20th.
2nd and 8.
And Woodbury in quite a spot. They have not lost since September 27th. That coming right here against Paulsboro. Second down for the Red Devils. And the handoff will be more than enough for the first down, and that should seal this football game.
Wow, Emma Pensgrove coming back where we looked. It just looked like this team had nothing going for it early on. No sense of urgency. The ground game was non-existent. Woodbury was doing everything offensively that they wanted to on the ground. Pensgrove making mistakes. But right before the half, they engineer a 13-play drive, punch it in, and since that time, Pensgrove has really owned the game.
You know, yesterday, Williamstown suffered a loss that many people suggested is just going to be very, very hard to swallow. That's going to be the case here in Woodbury as well. 21-0 lead, all for naught, as they were incapable of scoring after that 3rd touchdown, and it was all Pensgrove afterwards.
And you got to feel for, especially for some of the seniors, 21-0, you had the game in your possession. You're going to go on probably, well, not probably, you would host Haddon Heights right here on this field in the semifinal with a chance to take on Glassboro or Paulsboro, and that slips right through your fingers.
Brown takes a knee, and that should be the last play. Pensgrove emerges victorious, 28-21. No.
Aaron Hayward, I mean, they put the ball in his hands and said, big fella, you got to carry us to a victory. And he certainly did that. He had some outstanding individual efforts, and give it a good amount of credit to the offensive line from Pensgrove, because I really think they took control of the game there in the second quarter.
Well, next week we're going to have the 2 undefeated in South Jersey Group 1. It'll be the semifinals. We mentioned before, a lot of people argue that these are the top 2 teams in Group 1, and their records would certainly indicate that. Glassboro pasted Pensgrove previously, and Paulsboro certainly handled Woodbury. They will face one another at always one of our favorite places to go. That's Paulsboro High School. That should certainly be a good game. And again, Pensgrove will host Haddon Heights and a couple of Cinderellas.
Hey, the way Haddon Heights pounded the football in Palmyra, the Red Devils better not look past the Garnets, because that is a pretty good football team that's gotten better here. And what they were able to do against Woodbury, they're going to need that same type of effort starting from the outset of the game, not wait until the second quarter, because Haddon Heights could find themselves into the Group 1 final.
And for Woodbury, this is going to be a game of what ifs and what could have beens. And obviously a successful season, but certainly not the way they would have liked to see the playoffs end.
If you look at Woodbury, they still have some pretty big names coming back from, although they lose Kersey and R.T. Sprine, who I think is a big name in this year. Also, Adrian Bell. You still have Gibson coming back. They do have a couple other guys, including the quarterback, coming back. So some talented players returning for the Thundering Herd. Will be in the mix again, most likely in 2009.
Well, you can see the Red Devil players relishing in their victory. The final score, Pensgrove over Woodbury in the first round of the South Jersey Group 1 playoffs, 28-21 for my partner, Shawn Leary. My stat man, Mark Narducci, my director, Stan Ritter, and all of the crew, I'm Rob Christ. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody.